It's Izzy Dakota Jones with the Art of Doing podcast for 2022. Yes, we're already there. And you know what? Today we're going to be talking to a friend of mine who's a great guitar player. He is a great producer and engineer. You know, he's well known through the city of Vancouver as one of the top musicians in town. What can I say? You know, he's very roots. He's solid guitar player. He can play a lot of different styles of music. He produces and engineers a lot of different styles of music. We're talking about Tim Hearsey, and we're going to be talking to Tim here in a few minutes, and see what he has to say about, you know, where his roots come from musically, how long he's been playing guitar, all those good things. You know, producing and engineering. When did he get into all that? And all that kind of stuff, and talk about what's sort of going down in 2022 with getting back to live music and stuff. And I know Tim gigs quite a bit, so I mean, how's it feeling and looking for him during these weirdo times? Anyways, this is Izzy Dakota Jones, and stick around. We'll be talking to Tim Hearsey in a few minutes. Yeah.
Hello,
Hey, Tim, how are you?
Mr. Kennick. How you doing, man?
Not bad, not bad. What's new and exciting in the world?
Oh, you know, just doing the do. I'm servicing a preamp right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, dangerous work. It's not my forte, so I'm being very careful.
Oh, that's great. You never stop, do you? You just keep going.
Pretty much, yeah. You know. You stop, you sink like a rock, you know.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, I lost you. Sorry about that.
Are you there?
I am. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. Difficulties with the new
Tell me
phone.
what you doing here?
Well, what I'm going to do is I've been doing a podcast for, I didn't realize this, Kenny told me. I've done this podcast for 4 years.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've interviewed tons of people. I interview my manager in LA. I manage Pierre, like I told you. I've talked to Pierre over in UK. I've taught here.
Hey, that's Pierre, right?
Yeah, and I've talked to.
Where does he live? In London? Or
He lives in London, England. Yeah.
Nice.
And I've talked to people like, you know, who else? Last year I interviewed Darby Mills and Brian Wadsworth, her husband, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and all kinds of people like that, you know. I don't know, just me, lots of people. And then I wanted to get to you soon too, so I didn't realize it's been that long, right? I'm just going 4 years. This is my 4th year doing this thing. Wow.
That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy going because all we do is just talk, right?
Right. Yeah, well, Ken gave me a heads up and sent me a bit of lead on what you wanted. So I actually wrote down a few things that I could say about this and that. You know.
Good. Do you want to start? Let me know.
Yeah, whenever you're ready, man.
Okay. So, hey Tim, let's have a chat about I know you've been playing guitar for a long time, guitar and playing, singing, and I'm kind of wondering like I've known you a long time, but what are you, the basic question, but what are some of your like influences on guitar players? What do you like? Because I know you have that bluesy, rootsy feel, but there's lots of, I know you also can pound it out pretty rock and roll too.
Well, yeah, when I knew I was going to be talking to you, I kind of took stock and realized that I've had a relationship with the guitar for nearly 60 years, like 58
Wow.
years, right?
Yeah.
I'm 64 now, and for my first recollections of guitars were when I was pretty young.
Right on.
In terms of influences, when I was about 5 or 6, and around 1963, I lived with my grandparents in Spain, a town called Torrevieja.
Oh, wow, okay.
On the south coast of Spain, and I remember one evening my mom took me to a flamenco performance, and it was kind of in the basement of a restaurant. And, this is like 63 in Spain, right? So the room was it was candlelit and totally packed with people and really, super hot because of all the people in, south of Spain, right? And women fanning themselves and men wiping sweat off their necks with handkerchiefs and just thick of cigarette smoke, right?
Yeah.
And the performance started, and there was like two guitar players and this dancer, intense, strikingly intense flamenco dancer. And she played castanets and danced to the rhythms of the guitars, and it was a pretty powerful experience for a 6-year-old.
Yeah, I bet.
I was hooked on guitar at that point. I was,
Yeah.
my little mind was blown.
Wow.
So
wow.
really, in terms of influences, I got to give it to those guys first, right?
Yeah.
And then when we returned to London, my cousin had left his guitar at my mom's flat, and so I just kind of picked it up at that point and just started mucking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my second influence would have to have been my cousin Chris, who this day he's an awesome finger-picking stylist, English folky kind of writer of original songs. So, inspirational, right?
Right, gotcha.
There's so many influences I wouldn't know where to begin, right?
Yeah. I mean, but I've over the years I've watched you, watch you play live, and the roots, like you just mentioned, the flamenco stuff. I mean, very rootsy, right? So. That seems to be what sparks you, I guess, eh? That seems to be the stuff where you get the most kick, into.
Well, touchstone stuff that kind of reaches your soul, as it were.
Yes.
I started playing professionally in Vancouver when I got here in '75, and
right.
It was always with it was blues bands, and that's when I was growing up, I my stepbrother had Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley record that just blew my mind, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Two Great Guitars, I think it was called, and it was freaking awesome. And then growing up with listening to the Rolling Stones in the early days in London, my mom told me later in life that we actually lived 3 or 4 doors down in London from where Keith Richards and Mick Jagger had an apartment, right?
Wow.
I didn't realize this until later, and I don't know, they used to sit on the stoop smoking cigarettes and hanging out, and so it was 6 degrees of separation and location. But I grew up listening to that, and that's where they got it. They got it out of Chicago blues, and
yeah, it goes from there, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When I got here, and I got in a band, and it was a blues band. A band called Juke was one of the. We used to play we became friends with Drew Burns of the Commodore. And,
oh yes.
He just really looked after us and gave us some. We got to open for Muddy. We got to open for Big Mama Thornton.
Right on.
All these slots, right?
Yeah. Did you ever play that place? Because I went to that one bar a lot. Talk about blues bars. I went to the Egress. Remember the Egress nightclub?
I got here the year that I first got here. It was finishing.
Oh, too bad. What a great.
I know, because Harlem Wolf and everybody played there.
Yeah, I saw tons of people there, and it's no bigger than the size of our front rooms. It was really small. And
it became the Foxy Lady, a strip club.
It did it? I can't remember that. Yeah, all I know is, it was this great little venue that it 2 shows, and you're 5 feet away from the stage, so you could be watching anybody. Like I said, I watched I went and watched Albert Collins there at least a couple of times. Freddie King, you know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Muddy Waters. So there was just tons of people there, and it was just like, you know, I got so excited, like, you know, and then they would and then at night they would, like, when they were finished, like, you know, I got to know the staff pretty good, so you could just sit there and hang out with those guys. Like, they would sit down and have drinks, you know, and hang out with everybody, so you got to meet the band, right? It was pretty cool.
Normal human beings. What a concept. Yeah, no, it's a, you know, like, all those guys are gone now, but
yeah,
man, you know.
Well, hey, talking
They
about,
changed the world, you know.
they did, and talking about that, like, what I was going to ask you too, like getting into stuff like newer stuff these days, like a guy I really like. I like to know if you listen to any newer blues artists. I mean, like Gary Clark Jr. is a guy I really like, right?
Absolutely. Me and Chris and Gary, we were a cleaner act at when he was at the Seven on Blues Festival, and got to see him and meet him. And yeah, he's, you know, absolutely. There's a bunch of excellent young cats out there who are pretty faithful. They're not, you know.
Yeah, and pretty traditional too, but yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yet they're also kind of cutting edge. Like Gary can play like a really soulful blues tune, and then 10 minutes later he's playing some old, you know, some classic rock and roll Chuck Berry song. You know, like it's just like he goes from one genre to the other a bit, right? You know, he does Motown too, right? And I was kind of thinking, like, you know, like, I guess, you know, you grew up listening to all that kind of stuff like I did, and it's just like after a while you go like you know, it's refreshing, like, because I think when you were playing in the earlier days, like where I was, I think sometimes you know, the artists are kind of like, we would stay to one vein of music, one style, where
you know, there was, you know, it took me years to get out of that concept of you know, it's only valid if it's X, if you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
And you know, to get out of it, you know, and you know, the blues scene could be a little that way, that there's no validity in other music, you know. But life is like that. People, you know, get very
kind of pigeonholed.
Perspectives are narrow sometimes, right?
Yeah, but I think that's changing. Do you see that in? I mean, you do. I mean, like you know, I know. You know, we work together, producing and engineering. You get different artists in, so you must do all kind. I know you do. You do all kinds of different genres, right?
Yeah, you know, it's, if I had to say anything, it's mostly in the sort of, you know, it definitely is in the roots vein, you know, but, you know, I had the opportunity to, I record, Chris Norquist and I were kind of partners in crime, and we do a lot of bed tracks for Johnny Ferrara. I'm sure you remember Johnny.
Yes, I know Johnny, yeah.
Yeah, he has a saxophone lesson website that he does very well on, and for the last year and a half we've been doing all his bed tracks, you know,
oh, cool.
For him to, you know, play against, and then, you know, and he posts them all, you know, to you know, it's for his students to so it's been a super broad, like, you know, all over the map thing of learning, you know, big band tunes and like you know, ZZ Top and straight blues, Freddie King, you know, I mean, like, all over the map. Nielsen, you know, like, it's been a real experience. Learned a lot about songwriting by studying other people's.
Oh yeah.
You
know, yeah, because especially when you're engineering, producing, you get to see where the artist's going, right? And so and you
absolutely. And you know, plus you got to chart it and figure out what the hell the chords are, right? And, you know, some of it is just frickin' brilliant.
Yeah.
That you just wouldn't think of, right? You know, like just you know.
Yeah.
Super clever songwriting chops, right? You know, and you just never really thought about it because it's not my kind of music. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I know exactly what you mean.
That's what I mean. You know, having a closed mind, it's really helped me open up my perspective on
I know. I watched the other night. I watched Harvey and I, my bass player. We were watching the. He was hanging out. We watched the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and
Yeah.
we watched some of the new art. Well, they're not super new, but they're new artists. Some of the new artists cover some of like I watched Carole King was nominated, and we watched like Taylor Swift, who I would never watch, and I don't know much about her. A good-looking girl, supposed to be very talented, and I've heard some stuff, but I'm not, it doesn't turn my crank. And then she sang some Carole King stuff the other night, and in her own interpretation, and it was really good. It was I mean, of course, the song sold, but but
Yeah, you can't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
You got to open the book up. You know what? My experience on that was Christina Aguilera.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Those vocal acrobatics, and that, it just never did it. But I was watching Letterman once, and Dr. John was on,
Oh yeah.
and it was a Christmas period, and she came out and sang "Please Come Home for Christmas" with Dr. John, and really kept the vocal calisthenics to a limit. She fucking knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
It was my mind. That was my epiphany to really not judge a book by the cover. Like her chops are phenomenal.
I know. I watched her the other night. Actually, she did her take on I think it was an Aretha Franklin song, and she did it. I think that was the one. But anyways, I think that's what she sang. But whatever she sang, she knocked it out of the park. And yes, she did a.
She's very, very has deep homage to the classics. She really knows where she came from.
Yeah, and she did some of that vocally stuff, which I mean, I'm okay with it too. As a singer, I'll look at it, and if it's tastefully done, and not just showing off, it's fine. And she put it in some areas where I think she's learned where it makes it like a hook. You know what I mean? So she added it like a little hook in certain sections of the song, and it was like, okay, that was very well done, right? The 4 or 5 notes she jumped up and down on, it was just, it was really good. Like Edgar Winters used to do, and Edgar Winters would sing all that vocally stuff, but he did it very scale chromatically, right?
Right.
Yeah,
no, she's a soulful woman, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's good to it's really good, it's really good to expand your market. And so working with Johnny has been like really, really a cool experience.
I bet. Yeah.
Listening and learning stuff that I would never, because of my bias, would never really listen to. But
yeah.
I tell you, honestly, I don't listen to too much new music unless it's brought to my attention specifically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because I spend every day in the studio 8 to 10 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week.
Yeah, you're hard at it.
Their individual musical journey, and I have to relate to where they're coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I heard you gigged last night, right? You gigged last night?
Not last night. We wrote. That was last week.
Oh, last week you gigged, yeah. So what's it like? Like I've done a couple of gigs so far, since COVID. So what's it feel like? How do you take that take on that live thing coming back? Sort of. It's not quite there yet, is it?
Well, there's. I was. Let me just see where it is. Yeah. Of late, the music scene, and arts in general, it's taken a hell of a beating, and so many, local and indeed everywhere venues have disappeared and they're never coming back.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Yeah.
More will spring up and replace it, but Vancouver's going to be a top town.
It's not Seattle, or it's not L.A. It's not New York, right?
They've effectively really marginalized the arts community here.
Yeah.
First off, there's nowhere to live for people that don't, it's not like, I think COVID was probably good for a lot of variety ways for a while, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And were able to really practice and dig down on what they do, right? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Or change their vocation or whatever, you know? I have to say it probably had somewhat of a, you know, clearinghouse effect, right? You know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
The ones that are really committed are still there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but, you know, I don't mean to negative in the face of adversity here, but, you know, there are still some really terrific business people who, you know, folks who would support and understand the value and the importance of music to the, you know, collective soul and spirit of people, right?
Yeah.
And to their own bottom line, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
You have good entertainment, you know, you know, I love playing in Vancouver. The fans here are so supportive and an awesome bunch of folks, right? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
incredibly supportive. And where would we be without their hearing and caring, right? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Symbiosis rules, man.
Yeah. It
You
does.
gotta have ears if you're a player, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you. I think, like, as far as live goes, it definitely changing. I mean, like, what I do now is, you know, because I remember, was it last year? The last year I watched that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they had a couple of Bernie R's off. I forget his name. If he's the big money maker guy, producer, you know, promoter down in L.A. He did the Eagles and all kinds of people, I think, and stuff. And anyways, he was saying, you know, in part of his thing that the way to go is right now in music, to get your music out and have people listen to it and enjoy music too, is streaming, right?
Well, you can't fight it, you know?
Yeah, you can't fight it. And I do a lot of that right now with my band, with both my bands, because it just seems to be, you know, you got to, you know, you get some reaction from it, right? I mean, there's a guy out in Langley, and he's a country artist, and he has a garage, and he's built it into like a live recording studio, right? You know, like live, and he streams, and artists, and so bands come in, they stream right there and play, and there's some people in the crowd, not too many because of the COVID, but he streams. And he's got people one time we played, we got 1,000 people, you know, one night.
No, here's my perspective on that. It's all about building an audience.
Yeah.
You know, because and you know, and that's old school, right?
That is old school.
Streaming is the delivery service, right? You know,
yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people out there who want to support the arts, you know, and you know, like, make sure that artists can make a living to continue on doing what they're doing, right? You know?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
You know, there's also a certain amount of people who, you know, who you know, well, get a job, you know, you know, who don't understand art. But they're not the audience that you're looking for.
No.
There are lots of people out there, you know. So I think the nature of the business these days is to really target who wants to hear you. And that, you know, like, and, you know, dude, as you well know, if we got into this business to make money, we were sadly mistaken.
Yeah, exactly.
You better be doing it because you love it.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. You know, because I mean, like you said earlier in the interview, like, you know how much you've learned, right? You know, with producing and engineering and how songwriting goes and all that. That's what I'm in for too, because I just want to get better at the actual songwriting, right? You know, I like the idea of collaborating, and I like the idea of writing, right? You know, and getting that opportunity, and you know, like you do, like, you know, I listen, like that one band you're in. I really like that one band you have, where it's kind of, you're doing that kind of New Orleans style, right? You know.
Yeah, that's with Gary and Chris.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. I mean, like, and it's rootsy, but it has such great songs. You know, it's one thing. It's very danceable, but it's also it's also got really good songs. When I listen to that, you guys play that stuff, they're really good songs, right? This is something.
Well, the fun thing about that band is being fearless.
Yeah.
Because, even with Gary, he can turn left on you at any moment in a good way, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He can be halfway into a song and then go, yeah, it's not working for me, and then it'll become some other song. So it keeps you on your toes, but it also makes it really interesting for everybody.
Right.
I'll tell you, what I love about music is hanging out with my brothers and sisters and being creative. There are not many things that can come close to that kind of joy,
Yeah, I think.
In the studio, it's the struggle and the anguish and the self-doubt, and then finally the rush of excitement when everybody in the room bears witness to something special, right?
Yeah.
That, and that ain't about money.
That's right. Yeah. The money side. I think you're right. You can't. It's very hard these days to make any money, anyways, right?
Well, dude.
I mean, let's go.
You and I both know you gotta have 6 things on the go to make one.
Yeah, that's right. You're damn right. So tell me. So you're doing a lot. You're producing, you're engineering, you're playing, like. What, in the upcoming year or two, are you just going to keep pounding? I mean, you don't stop anyway, so you're just going to keep pounding away. Do you have any special things you got on your plate that or goals that you want to get to? Or
currently, I'll just kind of run down what's going on right now. Is in the studio. I'm super excited working with this cat. He's a guitar builder. I've owned 3 of his instruments so far. He's an unbelievable luthier, a guy named Warren Murphy.
Okay.
But he's also an extremely good songwriter. I mean, him and his partner, who he plays music with, is a gal named Kate Main. They have a collective thing called Murphy Main, and I've been recording their collective project, and they're both exceptional songwriters, and it's so freaking inspirational to be part of the process and help arrange and do all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so that's been like super exciting. Plus, they're each doing their own individual solo project, so it's like this big creative, schmozzle. It's fantastic. And there's another guy I've been working with for a few years now, and he's an older fellow named Alex Steeth, and he's got a band called Rusty Creek, and he's just a beautiful, inspirational cat. He's like his enthusiasm and zest for life, no bounds. He's like 75, and he's writing a book, and he's doing a podcast, and he's writing songs, and he's like, and he's had 3 heart attacks and 4 strokes. But
wow, and he keeps going, and he just keeps going.
And he's not quitting, because I have like huge admiration for anybody, so that's what I want to do. I want to keep keep pushing, I get to play with some, in the past, historically, I've played with some amazing people.
Yeah, you have, yeah.
In the present, just get to play with, I love Gary and Chris, and I have a band called the Grand Coolios, which is sort of it was originally formed as a support unit. We backed out like Jim Burns, Mike Farris, Paul Paquette, David Bass, Russell DeCarl, from the Prairie Oyster, and Stevie. We've done that's kind of one of the things we do is but we also perform as a trio, and that's Rob Becker and Chris and myself.
Cool. Wow. So, yeah, like I said, you don't stop. You just keep going.
Well,
And why not?
I love doing it.
I know you do. I mean, ever since I met you, you constantly got things on the go. It just doesn't stop. And somebody else I talked to, interviewed a few times too over the years is Brian, of course, right? Mr. Holden, right?
Oh yeah.
And Brian talks highly.
The other day at his yard party.
Yeah, and Brian talks so highly of you, right? He, you know, and I've seen pictures with you and Brian together, right? So, you know, yeah, Brian talks highly of you too. He just, you know, he says he just loves you. He says he's known you for so long. Right?
Oh yeah, we go way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a short stint in Brian and the Liars. I don't know if you remember that old band.
I do remember Brian and the Liars. Yeah.
Yeah, and
played the town pump a lot, right?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love Brian. He's a sweet, awesome fellow.
He is, yeah. And he's very talented like you. Like you both guys are super talented, right? I want to thank you, Tim. This was really good. This was great. I love talking to you. Always love talking to you.
That's fantastic, man. I appreciate the opportunity. It allowed me to have some reflection on, because sometimes when you got your nose to the grindstone and you're pushing forward, you don't really lift your head up and look around and go, oh,
yeah.
So this has been kind of an interesting experience to go.
I know.
Yeah, I've been at it that long, right?
Well, I know it's you know what is weird. I don't care if I say this on the record or off record. It's really weird. Like funny you say that. From one friend to the other. I was playing with the rock band a couple of nights ago down at the rehearsal place, and we were streaming live, right? And anyways, before we do it, we were playing, and like the guitar player says to me, he says to me, oh, are we going to do this classic hit that you used to play? And and I start laughing, right? And he says, no, these are really good songs. They're classic songs, right? And I'm going like, are they? I don't even know that. I got my note, like you said, I've got my head down, I'm just going. And I never thought of it like that, you know? Then I went to sing one of the classics, and guess what? We hadn't done it for like 5 months, and it's live, and I forgot the whole melody line.
Yeah, okay, I've been there, yeah.
I forgot, I gapped out. So we finished the song, everybody's kind of smirking, and I look and I go, well, I'd like to apologize to everybody in TV land, right? And to my band, I says, I screwed right up. And everybody's laughing, and I looked over at one of the singers in my band, and this other girl I got now, and she always worries about making mistakes, and she's pretty green, but she's good, but she's green, and
it's the only thing you're gonna learn from, isn't it?
I told her, she goes, I can't believe you're laughing. I says, well, yeah, who cares? I says, I said I went and watched Paul McCartney once in Seattle at the Kingdom, and I says, and that's when he still had Linda. Linda was still around. And I says he opened up with we call it Band on the Run, and I says within the first chorus, everybody in the whole place was singing, right? And I says he was blown away. You could hear him over the mic go, "Wow, we've got them in the first chorus." Like he had the crowd where he wanted them, right in the first chorus. And what he did is he went back and he sang a second chorus, but it was supposed to go back into the second verse. So he's singing a second chorus. The band's playing the second verse.
Yeah, dude.
And he starts laughing, right?
Human, that's all.
Yeah, he starts laughing, and Linda looks over at him and starts laughing. The band's laughing at him. He's laughing, and I just start laughing. You know what? That was a lesson right there. I went, see? One of the biggest guys in the world, a great songwriter and singer, and he fucks up too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, but, it's the humanity of it that makes it, makes it bearable. How many, but if you didn't have that, that humility about what you do, that you'd never get any better. Like dude, I hated everything about my playing and my singing. And and still from time to time do, right?
Yeah.
But that's what makes you better.
Yeah, because you keep striving, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no choice. You don't give yourself that choice of being content. I've never been content, with anything I do. It's just I just turn around and just go like, oh, okay, I can do better. Sometimes I can do better. Like I wrote a song a while back, and we're writing songs a lot. Talk about COVID. That's what we're doing, a lot of writing. So, I'm writing a song, and the song just doesn't. The people in the band go, no, I don't know about this and that. And I says, okay, let's do this, play it like this, try this, and all of a sudden about 20 minutes later, they're going, oh, I get what you're doing. That's cool, right? And then they start getting inspired, and then later I go, you like the song now, don't you? They said, yeah. I says, okay.
Yeah, they do. Keeping the creative spirit alive.
That's right.
I figure I got to stay living long enough to keep playing with my friends.
Yes.
And as Chris always says, get away with another one.
That's so cool. and
I'll tell you, man, I would be remiss not to say I have ultimate respect for you, sir, man. You've been, you guys have been at, Twitch has been at it for a long time, and I paid attention, man, and
we just
nothing but kudos for you guys.
Oh, I appreciate that. And that what did the other night we were watching, Harvey and I were watching the awards. The Foo Fighter bass player says, I'm just an adult playing in a band." Harvey goes, "I really like that line. I'm going to use it." I says, "Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm just an adult playing in a band. I just haven't grown up yet,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have too much fun playing, Unreal. Well, Tim, thanks a lot, bud.
Absolutely.
Yes, that was Tim Hearsey, everybody, and great interview. Don't forget to watch Tim Hearsey wherever he's playing in Vancouver. Great guitar player, great singer, great band, and he's a great producer and engineer. So check out Tim Hearsey. He's great. He's a treasure for Vancouver. Izzy Dakota Jones here with the Art of Doing Podcast 2022.